This is Abe Friedtanzer from Awards Buzz. So excited to be speaking with Jude Law about The Order. How are you, Jude?
Hello, I'm good. Nice to see you.
You too. I had the chance to see this film a few months ago, so it's nice to revisit it now. Though maybe nice is the wrong word for anything to describe this film. It's quite powerful, but also quite unpleasant. How do you get yourself into the headspace for this kind of story?
Hmm. Well, we had obviously a lot of uh, information and a wonderful book, The Silent Brotherhood, which unpacked the real case. Um, a really strong script that took it and sort of folded it into this cat and mouse thriller. And with the director, were able really to lean, I suppose, more than anything on the authenticity, really trying to dig into who each of these characters were. In my case, I'm playing someone who really is a composite of several agents, and we were also able to embellish him with a sort of backstory that suited us to sort of steer the narrative best, and just really trying to make him real and in this case damaged and broken and yet also build his moral barometer, really make sure you realize this is a tough guy, this is a weary guy, but this is a good guy. um, and there's a lot to sink your teeth into there.
I think just seeing him, running with that shotgun, it seems like he's doing whatever he can just to try to end this and cut them. And it's like he's up against something much, much bigger than him, which is pretty
Yeah.
terrifying.
Yes, indeed.
So, what did you know about this whole world before starting this
I knew
role?
very little, and I certainly didn't know that it had. This was, if you like, the one of the earliest recorded cases where a white supremacist group, proved to be this much of a threat, and indeed that was linked to money raising through robbery. It was the fact that it was an unknown story, or unknown to most, that really drew me in initially. I just thought this is what a great tell, what a great opportunity to shed light on a story of the past, a true story that also had these uncomfortable and relevant tentacles, through lines to today's political and social kind of global climate, and then, as I mentioned before, the idea that that is delivered in a genre piece, that to me was really rich. But I knew very little about the case, and I hope people walk away. It's always interesting to look back. It's not like hate speech. It's not like extremism started and ended there, but it's a reminder that things maybe haven't changed, or indeed how have things gotten worse and why.
And when you have, hate groups that are still considered moderate compared to what this group is doing, and it's a splinter off of it, there's just so much complexity to it. And who really are the good guys? Are there any good guys, in the story?
That's right, and it's something that this director does very, very well. He's done it before. He has a way of observing this kind of behavior and not judging the individuals, uh, and not simplifying the storytelling by painting one person out to be good or bad, but instead looking at behavior, looking at environment and community, family influence, decisions made by individuals that lead them down certain paths, or indeed how a society maybe forces someone to follow a certain path, and where that leaves us. And I think it starts a conversation rather than hits us over the head with an answer, or a considered answer. And I think it's a slightly healthier way of trying to understand this kind of behavior, again, rather than just casting a shadow of evil over them or it.
It's also set in a part of the United States that I think most Americans probably haven't visited. That's sort of beautiful, but also a little grimmer and darker. What was the actual shooting experience like?
Well, it was very fast and very, very, very intense. We had lots to do and little time. Adam Arkapour, our DP, and Justin Gazelle, our director, were incredibly well prepared and led very much from the front, and kind of used the energy that was required to get the thing made and done and back into the film. It was like, we wanted that propulsive energy to be in the story. He talked a lot about the landscape being this ancient world that's sort of judging these humans who are battling it out and killing each other. So you have these mountains and forests, lakes and wildlife that are around us, but sort of stepping back and letting us destroy each other.
You also have some phenomenal co-stars. Some you share more scenes with, like Ty, and others like Nicholas. What was it like working with this cast?
It was very exciting from the get-go that we got such a high level of actors and actors who are also really believed in the piece. For someone like Nicholas, of his pedigree and ability to see the import of playing a role like Bob Matthews and having the bravery to step into that kind of mindset was really impressive. And what was wonderful was each of the actors, Journey Smollett and uh, all of them really, Odessa Young, just to name a few, really brought something and really wanted to embody and study and add complexity and depth to each of their roles. And I think it really tells. It feels very bedded. It feels very real, and it feels very considered.
Looking back at some of your past roles, I feel like I've seen you in so much stuff. And the one that keeps sticking out to me as similar in nature to this project is The Third Day, even though obviously there's this additional sort of supernatural haunting element to it. There's something tonally that feels familiar. Do you feel like these two are not as different
That's
as they may seem?
interesting. Yes, I know what you mean. It's also, I guess, if there's a thread that immediately springs to my mind, it's the idea of this guy uh, alone, in a new environment, in a sort of a world that doesn't quite make sense, and then also the in the shadows, this movement, this group that he can't quite get a read on, who are coming after him. So yeah, I see what you mean, and tonally, yeah, there's a sort of eeriness to both.
This is certainly different than your other, big film this year, Firebrand, which I saw recently at a festival. These seem like very, very different moods, and also certainly different characters for you, just in
Mm.
terms of good natured and fighting a good fight.
Yeah, I mean that was the attraction, I suppose. I actually made Firebrand a couple of years ago, and it was slightly delayed because of the strike that hit, and so they weren't quite so sort of on top of each other when I made them, but both, offered just massive challenge and potential, and both felt like areas I hadn't been before. Both were led by directors that I really believed in and really connected with, and they had ways of working that really intrigued me. Very different styles, very different approaches, but really all encompassing and very tonal in capturing, environments to sort of lose yourself in. Um, and they were actually bookended. Were either side of my experience on Star Wars, which was a kind of totally different world to step away and get into, and then come back. And I think I did Firebrand, then Star Wars, then The Order.
Well, before I let you go, this is awards buzz. So I'm always curious, the people I talk to, what are you watching? Is there a film, a show, a performance you've seen recently that is really sticking with you as particularly awards worthy?
Unfortunately, just because of my schedule on this and the fact that I've literally just finished a show, I haven't been able to see very much. There's all sorts I really want to see. I can't wait to see The Conclave. Can't wait to see Anora, Amelia Perez, The Brutalist. I saw The Apprentice. I thought the work in that was excellent. It's a really interesting film, but I've a lot to catch up on. So apologies.
I'll be curious to hear your thoughts on Conclave, given your experience in
Yeah.
similar hope-related stuff.
I know. It made me somewhat miss the Sistine Chapel. I was like, oh, and all the attire. I mean, I dressed like that for months.
Well, I wish you happy watching. Thanks so
Thank you,
much, and so nice to meet you.
and you.